Hello, my name is Cindy, and thank you so much for coming to this video. Well, I'm talking about Can-Do Math Tutoring again, and today I want to talk about, your kid hates math. A lot of kids hate math. I don't know. I love math, and I have tried to figure out which kids really hate it and why. I went to college for math education, and I realized by my senior year, there were very few math students left to graduate. And there was actually a smaller number of math education. In order to graduate with a math education degree, you have to have the math skills that a regular math major would have. And you also have to add in your education classes. So it's a very difficult major to endure, which I did. And I wouldn't say that I am like the smartest person that ever lived in the math skills. My ability comes from a lot of hard work and determination, and I don't give up. And if you know me as a person, that is really a lot of who I am. I just keep trying, and I really do gravitate towards a challenge. I guess that's why I want to be a math tutor, because math is a subject that not everybody likes, and I would like to find some students that like math and help them even do better. But a lot of times a tutor is called when the student really needs help and it's an emergency situation. So if that's your situation, I hope that you listen to these reasons why kids might hate math. And let me know in the comments about your student. Why does your student hate math? Maybe your student finds that it is a very difficult class. Math can be challenging for many students, and they struggle to understand certain concepts, and they get overwhelmed with concepts that are brought out. Now, I feel like the curriculum that I use at the school that I've been working at is really good. We use the ABECA curriculum, and it's out of Pensacola, Florida, from Pensacola Christian College. This curriculum was put together probably when I was in high school. We did not have this curriculum when I was in high school, but it's really based on the traditional methods of teaching math. They really, at the very beginning in first grade, they concentrate on memorization of the math addition facts, subtraction facts, and they also give math drills. So they kind of work with the students so that the students not only know the math facts, but they know them quickly. And I really believe that this is a great base, and every student should have this goal to do the math work, but to do it quickly. So this is sort of how I learned when I was in school. I remember way back in the dark ages, I tell my kids 100 years ago, 100 years ago, that's how the teachers taught. They taught us the math facts, they taught us for speed, and then as you got into higher levels of math, you were able to do more difficult questions, and you were able to keep up, do it quickly, and it just kind of built on itself. I think a lot of times today, the students are exposed to a lot of different types of math situations, and I believe that the concepts for the younger students are a little too difficult, and it's kind of like putting a whole bunch of stuff in a pile and then looking for one thing. It's not organized. So I feel like a lot of kids have a lot of stuff in their head, but it's not organized in a way so that they can pick out what they need at the time they need it. So the curriculum that we use at our school is really reviews and the same basic facts over and over and over, really up until grade 8. And I believe that is a great method to make sure that students know their math skills well, and they have them to refer back to. They feel like they have a toolbox of information that they can use from that point on. So it is difficult for many students, and why it might be the way that they were taught, or the fact that they don't have the facts down well enough in order to use them when they need them. Number two might be they have lack of confidence. Now, in a classroom situation, students are together with other students, and they might think they're the only one that has a certain question, or they're the only one that doesn't understand, and they don't have the confidence to ask the teacher a question. And I found in my teaching situation that I invite kids to ask questions and they still have a hard time asking questions. So the lack of confidence, and I think that lack of confidence again stems from where they started, maybe in first grade, second grade. How were the skills given to them, and how were they drilled so that they were part of their mind, and pulling through those skills is very important from a very young age. Another reason might be the teaching method. The way that the math has been taught can affect the students' attitudes. So like I said before, the traditional methods that emphasize rote memorization and repetitive problem solving can help the student with problems that are coming up. Another way that we can help in this area is to relate the problems to everyday life. So I do like to try to tell stories, like the time I had a paper route and I would count the money. When I had a paper route, I think the paper was like $1.25 or $1.40 per week. And I would collect all the money, usually it was in change, and I would sit on my bed and just count all the money for the week because I had to pay the bill at the end of the week. And when you relate the concepts to something in everyday life, that really does help the students to realize, number one, math is important, and number two, that we will use it in everyday life. So that goes along with number four, which would be relevance, that they need to know that this math is relevant to their everyday life. When we're talking about percents, a lot of times I'll talk about shopping, discounts, maybe buying a car, buying a house. Of course, this is not on their radar, but they need to be exposed to these terms and to see where these ideas are going to be used in the future in their everyday life. Another reason why kids might hate math is because their parents or the society attitudes. Now, I've met a lot of students' parents, and they say, oh, I was never good at math. Or, maybe their whole class, they're all like, we're terrible at math. We don't like math. And so those attitudes can creep in and kind of work on that student. Maybe you have one student that really loves math, but they're too shy to admit it. So I would suggest, as a parent, don't tell your kid that you're not good at math. My mother actually wasn't very good at math, but she always showed confidence in me. And when I came home from school, she would say, talk it out, talk it out. Maybe if you try to explain it to me, you'll be able to see where you went wrong in that problem. And that really helped me. So I tell my students, talk it out to one of your parents, talk it out to your dog, to the mirror, to a friend. And that will help you to see what it is that we need to do. Now, it takes more than one day. I've seen students that try it for one day and they get really excited about it, but it has to be consistent and not just one time or two times, but as a regular habit. Whenever that student comes up to something that they really don't get, to try to conquer that, because when it comes up again, it's going to be hard again. So parents and society attitudes can definitely cause kids to hate math. How about pressure and anxiety? Sometimes kids get pressured. I've done a lot of drills, and it's hard because, some kids are the fastest kids in the class. Some kids are the slowest kids in the class. So playing games can be hard because the same person always wins. The other day I played a game where I got a deck of cards, and every time I did boys against the girls, And every time the one team or the other won, I picked up a card. So that card could be the number 10 or that card could be the number 2. So that was kind of fun because it was kind of a random way for either team to win. So that was kind of fun. So there are ways that you can make games so that it's more fun for everyone, even if someone gets something wrong or something like that. But yes, that is something that as a math teacher I try to do, is reduce the pressure and the anxiety so that the students can enjoy math. Peer influence. Maybe their friends don't like it. Now, something I learned about being a math major was that some people are very ready to say, I don't get it. I just don't understand it. And some people pretend they do. So, not everybody's being completely honest. There are also some students who goof around and they play around, and then when it comes to test day, they get an A. But they're taking away from the other students who need the time to learn the material. So as a teacher, obviously, if you have a classroom, you have to try to keep the peace in the classroom and keep everybody respectful of everyone else. But if you have a student that is in the class and you can tell that they're afraid to ask questions, they're being influenced by their peers, get them some extra help. That's why I started my business, Can Do Math Tutoring. I want parents to understand that it's time for you to make steps to help your student. Some students will go to class, they don't need much help, they get the work done, not a problem. Some students really do need the extra help, and with a little bit of extra help from a tutor, your student can get the grades that they really would want. And maybe they can't do it on their own right now. Maybe they need a little help right now, and then that will put them on their way to doing better in the future. So that's why I'm starting this business, because I know that these things are problems. The last thing that I want to talk about is the early foundation. If you have a lack of an early foundation math skills, this can affect the rest of your future math skills, which is kind of sad. So I would recommend, if you have a young student, get them started to enjoy math. Get them started to play math games, play with cards, add numbers. Make it fun for them, because this is going to be something that will help them for their whole life. And not just in school, but later on, whatever your child goes into. I have a son who wants to go into landscaping business, and he's going to need to do numbers. He's going to have a lot of things he has to deal with, like buying equipment, doing quotes for people, working per hour, subtracting all of the expenses, and making sure that he actually makes a profit. I have another son who wants to do plumbing. He wants to do his own plumbing business, and that's all going to be a lot of math involved in that. And anything that you do in life, I always tell my students, do you want to get a job? Do you want to make some money? Then you need to know your numbers, right? And even if you're going to buy something, do you want to buy a car? Do you want to buy a house? All of these things need numbers. Now, you can hire someone or maybe ask someone that you know that's really good with numbers, but everybody should be somewhat self-sufficient. So those are my recommendations. Why does your kid hate math? I don't like to hear it. I don't like to hear that kids don't like math, because that's my favorite subject and I know how important it is. But if your student doesn't like math, please reach out to me. We can work on this. We can get your student to start to like math. It's something they're going to use the rest of their life, and it would be better to meet the challenge than to keep shying away from it and then, wishing that he had he or she had done better before, in the early stages. So there's no better time than the present. I am working on getting bookings for the summer 2024, and I'm hoping to fill up my schedule with some students that can't wait to brush up on their math skills. We'll play games, we'll do some fun things together. I have a video that you can look for on my channel, and I'll post that after this video, that talks all about what is a virtual math class like, because I am working on teaching virtual math classes. And there are a lot of advantages to it. I've taught a lot online, and I feel very confident that this is going to be a good thing for you and for me. So reach out, post below, and let me know, and let's get started. Thanks for watching. See you next time.